Welcome to Rotten Taste, where we take a look at movies under 50% on Rotten Tomatoes and kind of tell you what we think about it. And here's the first review of the new year. We're going back to our childhood, mainly my childhood. We are looking at Masters of the Universe, starring Dolph Lundgren, and it only has a 22% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh,
Um,
it's that low?
it's that low.
Oh,
So before
don't
we get all
forget
of this,
Courtney Cox as well.
Courtney
Also
Cox,
Courtney
yes, Courtney
Cox.
Cox is in this, but it's He-Man is Dolph Lundgren. But yeah, before we get into this, this is nostalgic for me. I mean, this whole,
hmm
when I grew up, I had the He-Man PJs, I had like the He-Man bed sheets, I had all the toys. I dressed up as He-Man one Christmas, maybe two Christmases, I can't remember. And yes, if I can find that picture, you will see that here. If not, I'm sorry, people. I know that picture exists, but anyhow,
Oh
so
God,
this
what
is
a
my
disappointment.
childhood. This is my number one toy. This is my number one thing, more so than what Turtles and GoBots and it's more of this than GI
Mm.
Joe. So I love He-Man. And then I hear about a live action movie, and I think 1987. So I was 9, and it's prime, ready. I love the cartoons. I watched it every day after school. I'm like, oh my god, they're doing a live action movie. When I first saw this in theaters, from what I can vaguely remember, obviously I was excited. I'm seeing my hero on the big screen.
You watched this in
Eh,
theaters?
I did, and every
Oh,
time I've watched it since, it's gotten worse and worse and worse and breaks my fucking soul, Soto. I'm
wow.
sorry. Now, this time around, I kind of just took all the nostalgia out, like everything I remembered about He-Man, and like, let me just watch this as a movie. But, Soto, for you, your first thoughts of when you saw Masters of the Universe? Because I
I,
know
I
you didn't
mean,
grow up like I did, but
for me, like when I grew up and was watching, I watched the He-Man cartoon. I again, like you and I talked offline. I really kind of watched more GI Joe, but I was aware of it and everything. I watched the shit out of this movie when I was a little kid, when it came on cable or HBO or whatever it was, and I had no problems with it whatsoever. I think it's because it was kind of in line with the whole like thing that I liked back in that time frame, anyways, which was like Conan the Barbarian, like Red Sonja. I don't know if I just liked dudes with big muscles, and maybe I'll unpack that in another podcast or something. But um, yeah, I had no problems with this movie when I was younger, like at all. Like it all made perfect sense. Now, watching it at my age at 41, uh, I didn't think it was terrible, but man, it gets really bad really quick, and then just kind of ends with the most ridiculous thing ever. So I didn't go with it. I didn't go into it with like too much like, oh, nostalgia. I was just like, oh, nice, Master of Years. I used to like this movie when I was younger, and like other movies we've watched before on this, like it did not hold up.
no, no. And the one thing about this movie is it jumps right into it. Like Skeletor is taking over Castle Grayskull, which is actually a fucking big deal. He tricked
Yeah,
Gwendor, or Gwildor, whatever, which
is
is
that
not a
the
character from the
little
cart. Yeah,
dwarf
the troll guy.
with the
And I'm like,
gills on
wait,
his face?
yeah, where was that shit? Like, it's like they could have done a movie just like the battle up until then, and like
hmm
that was like a major point. And it's like, nope, bad guys are winning. Like, well, why are the bad guys winning? Where's He-Man? What's going on? Because the main thing about the cartoon was kind of like Superman. He-Man and Prince Adam is his like alter ego. No one knows Prince Adam
Yes.
is He-Man. Until
Oh,
it's funny.
because they
Same
look so
build.
different.
Yes, the build. He's got the pink vest, and he's what like they make him out just to be, for lack of better terms, a wuss. But anyhow,
Oh God.
there's all this backstory that they did not tell. So people who did not know the show, I had no fucking clue what was going on, and they barely had any characters too from the cartoon. They had Skeletor, they had Evil Lyn and Beastman. That's it for the
And,
villains.
and there was no Battle Cat. Where the fuck is
Yes,
Battle Cat?
I forget what the cat's real name is. He was like Scooby Doo, who's scared of everything, and then all of a sudden,
Yes.
I got the power. Then he's Battle Cat. He's ready to kick ass. There's also like Orko, I think, which is like the magician, which I
Oh
don't think
yeah.
they couldn't do
He
special
looks like a
effect
little
wise.
Final Fantasy wizard. Yeah, like a little Final Fantasy
Vivi,
mage.
yeah. I say Vivi
Yeah.
floating red mage, but I think that's why Gwildor kind of came in because Orko did
Oh, they probably
not
couldn't do special
or
effects.
correct his floats and magic and stuff like that, and they had
Yeah.
Man of Arms until Tila, but again, and the sorceress, but that's it. And they had all these characters. Like I remember because I have the toys, Mandy Faces, which had like this little thing that like you change his faces. There was like
Oh
Merman,
yeah, yeah, he was
Trapjaw.
cool.
And
Yep.
they had all these vast
Trapjaw, yeah.
enemies that they could have chosen, and then they made up some for the movie. But yeah, I think the movie was good as it can be, until they went to Earth. And I
Yeah,
think that's
why?
where everything fell apart because they are barely on Eternia. And I'm like, that's where all the action should be. That's where all the shit is. I don't know.
Here's the thing, right? Like, all the expensive stuff that would have made this movie impossible was on Eternia. Like, so all the things that you're talking about, like backstory, epic battles, and all that stuff, it's 1987, as you know. Wasn't exactly a lot of movies that looked like Lord of the Rings back then.
No.
So they pretty much were like, all right, I've got a great idea. Let's do He-Man, okay? We'll write it into the story, and then we'll just use Earth. And Earth is free. We'll put a couple CG things in there. But like overall, Earth is free. We don't have to make a fantasy land, which clearly like Castle Grayskull and everything around it was painted on to something, and they kept reusing that same shot.
Yeah.
Because they had a very limited budget. I mean, for God's sakes, when they're writing on those sky boards or whatever they're writing on, it looks like an action figure is writing on those on those saucers. Every single time, it looked like they literally took a He-Man action figure, put him on something, and then just kind of floated him around in front of like a 35 millimeter like film. It looked really, really bad. So you wanted the Eternia backstory, but did you really want to see that? Like, if you could go back in time and they're like, oh yeah, we did that, would you really have been happy?
Well, who knows? Because the budget was only like 22 million or some shit. I think. So if
My
they've done
God.
right, maybe. But here's the thing, you can fake it, and you mentioned Eternia. They jokingly they spent all their money, and there's a couple scenes which I laughed because here's why: Skeletor is talking to the people of Eternia,
Yes.
and then they show 10 or 11 people. Like, did you ever notice that every time he gets
Well,
hologram
all
talk?
the
Like,
budget went to the actor who played Skeletor. What's his name?
Frank
Langella.
Langella?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like an actual actor who demanded a budget. Like he probably ate up all the fucking budget for Eternia, just himself, and his makeup doesn't even make any sense to me. Is he a skeleton? Why do his lips move? It makes no sense.
Well, I mean, that's how the action figure in the cartoon is. It doesn't make sense. I know in the cartoon he had more of a goofy kind of talk, like yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, yeah, I know that I'm doing a bad impersonation, but he had a different style, and this is more darker. Um, I don't know. It was definitely weird, and obviously they can only do so much. But they end up on Earth, and they end up finding Courtney Cox and her boyfriend, who I didn't
Yes.
really realize it until I think this watching. I'm like, wait, they're in high school. Like, I don't know why that never really dawned on me, but they're seniors, and she's talking about I'm leaving town and blah blah blah. Parents are dead, and
Yeah.
she's just. I'm like, I don't know. They seemed a little too old to
They
be,
died on
see.
a plane crash to Catalina Island. They were
No,
on their way to the Catalina wine mixer and died.
so so when they're visiting so when you get the introduction to these two characters, and she's
Yeah.
giving the backstory like she feels like it's her fault, the boyfriend, I'm like, oh my god, because he's like, they died in a plane crash, these things just happen. I'm like, no, they don't. No,
No, very
like
rarely.
these things
Very
just
rarely.
don't happen. You slip and fall down, maybe down the street, down the stairs, whatnot. That happens a lot. I'm like, plane crashes, I'm
Oh,
sorry. He's like, but just how nonchalant he was. Those things just happen.
they just
Um,
happen, babe. That's
and then,
all.
and then they find the missing cosmic key, which plays music. But
Mm.
yeah, that's how
Mm-hmm.
they get involved in all this. Oh my god! But yeah, I don't know. It's tough because when they go to Earth, and it's just they find a cow, and they do like just too many stupid jokes, and they're all like
I
laughing it up,
know.
hamming it up, like ha 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 ha. I'm like, but their
Which I
lives
loved
are
as a
okay.
kid. I loved it
Yeah,
as a kid. I was like, this is hilarious. But at the same time, I was like, I was fucking 8 years old. So like, my spectrum of humor was very limited back then. But I was like, oh my god, this is great. He-Man in an Earth situation. This is awesome. But yeah, in retrospect, as I get older, this is just it was damn stupid. But I get why they had to do it. You know what I mean? Like, I get why they had to make the choices they made. They were trying to capitalize, like a lot of movies we talk about. It's a vehicle for a property, and they're trying to capitalize it. So I get it. It didn't
But
make it
here's the
any more
thing.
enjoyable.
No, but here's the thing, which I learned by watching the toys that made us. When I watched that,
Hmm.
when this movie came out, the toy line was dying. So believe it or not, because the cartoon
Oh,
was let's see, cartoon was 83, 84, 85,
sure.
and
Just a long
this
time ago.
well, like the first year they made 40 million. Then they made over then like 350. So they made a billion in sales. Before
Hmm.
the year before this movie came out, or I think if I got the timeline right, they only made 7 million. You know why? Because they were making all these new enemies. They didn't release any new He-Mans or Skeletors. So kids who are getting into it couldn't find the main hero. So
Hmm.
this movie came out at the tail end of the popularity. So
I just want to just go back to this plot because just so that we're on the same page.
yep.
So they're in the throne room. The sorceress has been like, put into a Skeletor force field or whatnot,
Hmm.
and they're up against it. They're like surrounded by thousands of soldiers, and they escape the situation by using the synthesizer, the cosmic key, whatever the fuck they did, right?
Hmm. Yep. Yep.
Okay, so they get to Earth, and then so they need to find the cosmic key because the plan was to go back to the throne room that they just escaped from to fight their way out of there. They just got away. And the plan was like, no, we'll just go back and fight everybody. Like
Yeah.
did I get that right or was that the
Yeah, no,
actual
you
plot?
you got that right. That is, and I'm going to put my air quotations plot of the film. They're going back, which, first of all, because they joke about it, like we can't take on all these. There is no plan outside of that. Like, well, we just need to go home. We're going to go back to the throne room. Well, like, well, why'd you leave in the first place?
Right.
Uh, yeah, no.
You
Um,
were in danger is why you left, so now you're going to come back. They're expecting you to come back. Everybody's still there, and the plan is you're just going to fight your way through it in the same situation. It makes zero sense to me.
yeah, a lot of this movie makes zero sense. But I will say there is one higher point or high point I loved.
Oh?
Um, the cop. I kept expecting him
Oh,
to call them slacker,
so yeah,
and
it was
I
a stickler from Back to the Future, right? Or the
yes,
principal?
yes,
Yeah.
the principal, and I just saw him like, oh my god! And then you have Gwildor driving that car. I don't know where the fuck that troll learned how to drive a car, and it made me think because he's just flying, and then the hoverboards. I'm like, how much did they steal from Back to the Future? I mean, as
Oh,
cheesy as
yeah.
it was, back to your point. Yeah, so they get the car. They're trying to get. We'll digest the story. They
Yeah.
need to find the cosmic key, but the
Hmm.
instant it's used, Skeletor knows where they are. So
Right.
it's like that's how this battle happens on Earth, where it's basically running up and down alleys and shooting guns and just running up and
Oh
down
my
alleys
God.
and shooting guns and running up and
Yeah.
down.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's exactly what it was. And everybody just kind of running away, and then somehow Skeletor poisons Courtney Cox's leg with his Skeletor powers, and then
yeah, the
that becomes a whole
electricity.
thing.
Yeah, that
Yeah, that.
that only the sorceress can fix, so they have to now go back to Eternia.
Oh
Um,
my God.
no,
They already
this
had to
was
go back to Eternia. Why did they add another reason to go back to Eternia? Like it just made no sense. And can we talk about how it just ended up being about fucking not only like going to different worlds, but then also time travel?
oh god, yes.
Time travel got in here. Not just spatial like distortion or spatial displacement, but time travel.
Yeah, so for those who have not seen this movie, after the good guys win, because good guys always win in these kind of
Yeah,
movies,
spoiler alert.
um, they're going to send Courtney Cox and her boyfriend, and I forget their names, back to Earth. And then,
Hmm.
Gwildor's like, yeah, I can send you back at any time. Like, yep, just send us back to where you left us. But as they left, Courtney Cox wants to go back before her parents get on that plane. And that's where they end up, and they stop. So I'm like, I don't know. I always have a problem with like time travel stuff when it doesn't make sense because I don't know. But yeah, so she just takes all their stuff and runs away so they can't get on that plane and that's it. That's it.
Okay, but Chad, if they had the ability to time travel, why didn't they go back in time to before Skeletor got the thing and stop him from using it?
Well, then I have a question. Then why didn't Skeletor do that? Just to go back, I don't know. This is why you
It
don't bring time.
hurts
This is why you don't bring time travel into shit. And let's just keep it to Back to
at
the
the
Future.
end. At the end, just like thrown in there, being like, "Oh, by the way, this loose end, um, let's throw in some Deus Ex Machina. Who cares? Like, yeah, like that one thing we set up with her parents getting into a plane crash. Which, after seeing her dad, who looks just like the dad from Stranger Things, it makes perfect
Yeah.
sense why that guy crashed his fucking plane on the way to Catalina Island.
So you
Makes
talked about the
perfect
end.
sense.
Did you know, Soto, that there is a
Mm.
post-credit scene to this movie?
Oh, I'm
This is the
aware.
this is the first movie that I noticed ever knew had a post-credit scene, and I remember because I obviously rented it. This is VHS, and I was in my room and I was playing with my toys, and I just at that age, who knows? I've watched this a million times, let it play, and the credits run, and I just let it go. And then at the end, Skeletor pops out and be like, "I'll be back," and
Yeah.
it blew my. Now I remember it blew my mind as a kid, because at that time, I know a few movies did it. Ferris Bueller had something, but at the same time, I didn't see those movies. This was the first post-credit scene I've ever seen. I'm like, oh my god, they put shit after the credits, and then I'm like, oh my god, he'll be
Whoa.
back. There's gonna be another Masters of the Universe, which we know, no, there's
No,
not.
we never got that, and I mean, honestly, the universe did us a favor.
Yeah. So, random time travel. Why? You know, I don't know. It's just a lot of things
Random
don't.
like emotional scenes, like like when they say like "good journey" to you, and they're all like crying at the end to each other, and I'm like, what the hell? Like, what is going on here? It just strange. Like, whoever wrote this script is absolute genius. There was one scene where the stupid fucking dwarf guy is like, "Do you have an Octode rectifier?" And fucking Man at Arms, I think is his name, is just like, "I have an Octode rectifier," and I was just like, I almost spit out what I was eating when that happened, because I was like, who fucking wrote this shit?
Like at the end, so one of the final scenes, and I know we'll wrap this up soon, when He-Man gives himself up to Skeletor to save all his friends, and that leading up to
Oh
that scene,
yeah.
their friends are stuck on Earth and stuff like that.
Hmm.
So he's, He-Man's trapped, and so his friends finally make it back, back to the throne room where all this shit is happening, and He-Man looks
My
at
God.
Skeletor. You said you wouldn't hurt them. I lied. Like, have heroes never
No
learn anything from
shit.
villains? And then He-Man just goes all crazy and powerful and grabs the sword. I have the power. The infamous second half to that line. Um, they should have just done a cartoon movie. And I get it. They were trying to, live action was kind
Hmm.
of the big thing. Superman succeeded. They had a
Hmm.
couple. Turtles was coming out in a year or two. This just failed. And I think they should have
My
just,
God.
yeah,
This
failed.
made Ninja Turtles look like The Godfather.
Yeah, yeah. And that's, yeah.
As far as everything goes. I mean, and they had to slip in that whole like I have the power thing at the end just to put a bow on it.
Hmm.
And when that happened for the credits, I was like, of course.
Yeah, I mean, come on, you knew they had to say it. I mean, he didn't say by the power of Grayskull because he was not Prince Adam changing into He-Man, but let's skip all that.
He never had another like identity. He just had
He-Man.
naked man running around, and the best part about it was, when he first meets Courtney Cox, she does not question anything. She's just like, this man just showed up out of nowhere. He's half naked, wearing a cape, but I feel safe.
Well, that's because, she had all these things running into the cafeteria of her school, which she was just like, I'm
Oh
just going to stay
yeah.
here, and she's scared. I don't know. I don't know. She just fully trusted He-Man because why not? He has the muscles.
This is a movie that I give a lot of I give a lot of leeway to, understanding exactly where it came in. I did not have the emotional attachment to it that you did, other aside from the ridiculous plot points that it had. Um, would I show this to an 8-year-old? I don't know. 8-year-olds are probably a lot cooler now than we were back then, but it's a perfectly fine movie for anybody that's under 8 years old, I think. After that, it gets a little dicey.
Yeah, if they know who He-Man is, if they're not a fan, then yeah, they'll just play on their phones. So, but until next time, good journey.
We don't have the power.